From Panther Stadium at Spring Lake Park High School, it's time for the first of our soccer doubleheader this afternoon. Girls soccer first, boys soccer to follow. It's the Blaine Bengals visiting the Spring Lake Park Panthers in Northwest Suburban Conference action. Good evening, everybody. I'm Bill Hupp alongside my broadcast partner, Blythe Whaley. And as Blaine takes the field, the Bengals are sitting in fifth place in the Northwest Suburban Conference table. They're off to a fantastic start this season.
Yeah, you see them really having that turnout late on in the season. The win column is just adding up for them. And Coach Stadtman is really proud of his ladies sticking it through. They had that earlier in the season. Their 1-2 record didn't look as great on paper. And his team just really stuck it out with them and made sure that they got ready as the games kept progressing here late in the season.
They lost 3 of their first 4, Blythe, but they've won 8 straight games, and they come into this contest at Spring Lake Park roaring with confidence. Spring Lake Park, meanwhile, starts 6 underclassmen in their starting lineup, including a bunch of first-year players. So certainly a young team under Mindy Daughtry, but you had a chance to catch up with her before the game.
Yeah, talking with her before the game, she was telling me she's just glad her team bouncing back, of course, getting that last win here on Tuesday. And they're feeling good coming into a game against rival here. You know, they're used to playing each other. This game always brings them up to that next level, wanting to make sure they put everything out on the field to get it done today.
It was a wild 4-1 win against Coon Rapids. They are sitting 10th in the Northwest Suburban Conference table on 9 points, but certainly a game between two teams that are very familiar with one another as Blaine possesses the ball in the white, moving right to left on your screens. A pass into the channel is cut out as we are underway here at Panther Stadium. Taking it to the end line, crossing, looking for Kendall Stadton. It's cut out. Pass back behind Stadton. Dropped back to the top. Stadton gets in front, and that was fired home by Tessa Zachman. And Blythe, you've been around for a while watching Blaine soccer. Kendall Stadton is as good as they get in the area.
Yeah, definitely. It's been really great over the years just to see even how much she's progressed, but even coming into her time playing on varsity, she's just always been that top player for them.
Going to the Minnesota Golden Gophers next year, and also a contributor on the football team, kicked the game-winning field goal against White Bear Lake in week 1. So what an experience for her. The funniest part of that story is she's not a football watcher, so she actually didn't know how much it was worth. She assumed it was a point. But then she figured out once she'd booted it through and the rest of the team mobbed her, celebrating that she had actually won the game. So that's pretty exciting. Probably helped calm the nerves that she didn't know exactly what was at stake.
Yeah, exactly.
But tremendous athlete, obviously, and contributing to Blaine athletics in multiple ways. Spring Lake Park loses it across the end line.
And you said she's going to the Gophers?
Yes.
So she'll be joining Kaya Harper. So those of you from North Metro that you've been watching over the course of the years, Kaya Harper and her sister both having been on our airwaves and playing at the U of M right now. So it'll be fun to see her join them and really have just a North Metro reunion.
That's right. Goes to show how good the soccer is in this conference. And here is Stadton chasing after it. Kendall Stadton on her left foot, scores!
Yeah, you saw how composed Stadton was there as she gets inside the box, really taking her time, making sure she slots that one.
2 minutes and 32 seconds into the game, Kendall Stadton notches her 12th goal of the season to go along with 10 assists, and you see it right here, Blythe, just the speed of Stadton.
Yeah, and then she gets in the box. She definitely is making sure she's composed, finding that corner just to slot that one through.
So Kendall Stadton gets the Blaine Bengals on the board early here, first half. Again, the boys' game to follow. Spring Lake Park comes into this contest with a record of 4-8 overall and 3-7 in the conference. As we said, sitting 10th in the conference table. Blaine, meanwhile, a 9-3 record, 7-3 overall. And they've lost to some tough teams, including Centennial and Maple Grove in close losses, to top 10 teams in their own right. But as we said, they lost 3 of their first 4 games this year, but have won 8 straight since that slow start. There's a shot from distance and corralled comfortably as Brianna Finnegan couldn't get much on it. Spring Lake Park, of course, in the blue kits at home with the white lettering and piping and numerals.
And I just want to put the disclaimer out. If anything happens on the right side of the field and we don't catch it clearly,
you almost just have to watch off of the screen.
Monitor. Our window here in the press box is very frosted.
Yeah. Luckily, we've
Testing the
got
eyesight.
several cameras around, so that'll help. We've essentially got one window trying to make space, but we're making do. Blythe will have the call for the second game between the Blaine and SLP boys. Expect that to be a good one. Those two teams right next to each other in the table.
Yeah, I always love when it's a doubleheader. The girls get to play and the guys, because they're usually sticking around, supporting each other and possibly coming earlier, seeing the other team play. Just helps build the community around soccer that I've seen throughout my life growing up too.
Yep, no question about it, as good strength to hold off. Addison Stefani gets the ball wide. Squared middle and booted to safety by Maya Anderson. Bengals have reached the state tournament 7 times in program history, including 3 times in the last decade. And the rare foul throw called that probably could be called more often, and so it's kind of heartening to see when it does get called. Every detail matters. Into the path of Jordan Pascarella. 6 goals and 3 assists as she's looking up for Stadton. That's cut out nicely by the Spring Lake Park defense. How much, Blythe, how important is that early goal for a team in terms of settling them into the game and helping them take control?
Yeah, I would say it's massive. I mean, you just take the pressure off and you get to just play soccer for that remaining part of that first half. And for these ladies, anything extra you can add on to it is just cushioning that lead you have. But really getting that first one, because, you know, soccer sometimes can just be that one goal, as we see Pascarella.
Great ball to Pascarella on the far side, outside of the boot, looking for Stadton. Pascarella from distance, and it's handled by Brooke Gorish, the 8th grade goalkeeper for Spring Lake Park. We talked about how youthful this starting lineup is, and they're just getting valuable experience, and that must be so important when you're a young player to get those minutes.
Yeah, definitely you see that transition sometimes for girls coming up onto the varsity stage, and that can add some nerves to it. And you see maybe in some of those earlier games, those earlier seasons, that transition. But if you're getting it at 8th grade, I mean, you have so many years to really just be fully there and impactful, but she already is as an 8th grader. So that's amazing. But I want to go back even to Pascarella, getting that shot off, just rounding her way around the defense. Definitely tightly defended, but made that spacing work for her.
Yeah, it's the sign of a good player when you know how to occupy open spaces of the field and get yourself in a position to get shots off. There's Avery Dunbar. Knocks it off of Blaine Bengal on the far side.
Yeah, it also comes down to just how quickly you can get the shot off, because she really didn't need that much space, and you see that in basketball too, like how quick that release is, how quickly you're able to get the shot off, and how helpful that can be. So same thing here in soccer.
Pascarella turns it over on the pass, taken back by Stefani, one of the captains for this Spring Lake Park team. But the Bengals get it right back. And every successive win in this winning streak must be building the squad's confidence as well.
Yeah, definitely, as you see them rack up And that was kind of what Coach was telling me before the game, is just that his ladies, they really just had to dig in. He kept telling them, you know, he doesn't like to use the analogy of one game at a time, but it really was that way as these ladies started to gain some momentum.
Excuse me, Blake. Great ball by Stadton. Good sportsmanship. Pascarella got a step on her defender and was fouled in a dangerous position for Stadton, but Stadton split defenders and then outside of the boot to hit a cutting Pascarella, who was making the run. Just fantastic football right there from the Bengals, and that sets up a really good spot. And what do you think the plan's going to be here, Blaine?
Oh, I would hope Stadton would put this one on net here, probably.
Certainly close enough to shoot, you're right.
Upper 90, far top corner.
Oh, that'd be a treat, huh?
Yep, pretty.
Stadton tries to curl it in, and Gorsh catches it. So Gorsh comes over. Stadton not quite high enough to curl that into the upper 90, but you can certainly see what she was trying to do. And Gorsh, if anything, almost overran it or caught it to the side a little bit. Meanwhile, coming out is Madison Way to play that one. Madison Way in net. Opportunity here on the other side for Blaine on the counterattack. Shot. And just missing the outside of the net. That's Sydney Sutherland. Nope, I beg your pardon. That's Avery Soley. I was like, wait a minute, Sutherland's a defender. Avery Soley running onto that one. She could have squared it to her teammate Stadton, but instead she went for goal, and she didn't miss by much.
Yeah, and that could have been very impactful in this game. Of course, soccer, sometimes just that one goal, and if she would have padded it to 2 goals here before half, that could have been big time. We still have so much time even in this first half, 30 minutes on the board.
Yeah, Blaine scoring just 2 minutes and 28 seconds into this one. Pascarella, heavy touch, so it's taken back by Spring Lake Park and Riley Turnbow, one of those first-year players that we discussed in the open. Good job pressing by Stadton. One of these days I'm going to get that right.
And one of those players, I mean, we see Pascarella has been taken down numerous times, but she has had such great possession of this ball, too, on the field. And even when Kendall was able to get that shot off the free kick, that was big by Pascarella being in position to be taken down. Oftentimes people don't look at that as being as impactful as it is. You know, you don't look back those couple things of why that opened up.
Yeah, exactly. And just you can just tell by her movement that she really knows the game, has a high soccer IQ.
They missed her last year out for injury for later part of the season, and now having her back this year, she's been very impactful.
Anderson cuts out that attempt by Finnegan. It'll be a throw down on the far side by Spring Lake Park. It was overcast when we got here. The sun's starting to peek out a little bit. It's been all Bengals in the early going. Really have not had to face a shot yet. Madison Way, 53 saves on the season and a .63 goals against average. I was like, somebody's gonna take it.
One of the things that Coach Stadtman was telling me before the game is that they're working on when to be selfish. And that just means when you're getting close inside the box, how can you make sure that you're getting that shot off? And as we go throughout this game, of course, we got to see one on the board, so they made the right decision in that play. We'll see if they continue to do so today.
Good job coming over to play that one, Callie Molitor, one of the captains. Stolen back by Kylie Edwards. Through the middle to Avery Dunbar. Dunbar tries to do a little give and go, but it's cut out. Still in possession of the Panthers. That one popped into the box, cleared by the Bengals. Bounced into the arms of Way with 27 minutes to go second half, or first half. Just 13 minutes gone by, early going. Great cushioned volley by Sophia Walraven. Down line, but a bit too heavy for Abby Strasser from her right fullback position. 1-0 our score here, early going, first half. Blaine trying to pick up yet another road victory in the Northwest Suburban Conference. Finnegan gets in the way of that pass. And it's always impressive when you see a really, really good and ferocious press that forces turnovers high up the field. That can be really impactful for a team.
Yeah, my coach used to always tell us, how can you start from the forwards and build that defense from there? Because oftentimes if you're able to even just force them one way, you're helping your defense to be able to recover and mark up and push that ball out of danger there early on. So even if you aren't the one getting the ball, you're normally helping that defender to be able to step through because you force them a certain way.
Stadton tries to go down line. She just roams everywhere too. You see her on the left, she pops up in the middle. She very comfortable kind of playing that striker role up top, obviously. Throw in. Trying to get by the defense of Spring Lake Park, and she does. Stadton scores. Beautiful left foot shot, and Kendall Stadton has the first 2 goals of the game for Blaine.
I can't get over just the composure she's had on both of these goals as she gets inside that 18-yard box. Definitely splitting defenders and making it look easy as she worked her way around them.
As we see the replay here, she just did this all herself. Faked the cross, cut it on her left foot, made her angle tight, but knew that she had the power to blast it past.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because that ball just barely getting past that near post. Wow,
well,
that was impressive.
It's pretty rare that you actually actively make your angle worse for yourself, right?
Yeah.
But you have to have a tremendous amount of confidence that you can just blast it past. But obviously, Stadton with tremendous leg strength and just supreme athleticism, and she's got her team on top by 2 just about 15 minutes into this first half. You talked about, how much better a 2-goal lead feels. This isn't hockey, as that one's played into the channel, but the flag is up on the near side.
Yeah, definitely any nerves or worries earlier in the game that can help you, or that can force you to not be able to play at your optimum. And when you have this 2-goal lead, you start to settle into it and you're feeling fine. And now, okay, if that ball is coming, and even if you're the goalkeeper, the pressure's off of you because, hey, you still have 1 to give. Sure, you don't want to give it up ever, but if you do, it's not going to be the end of the world. We still have time.
Stadton up to 13 goals on the season now, 10 assists. And just so tough to handle. And, Blaine, just you always know that you've got someone who can put the ball in the back of the net. That has to feel tremendous. Couple subs is Carly Anderson and Grace Hughes check into the game. Meanwhile, for Spring Lake Park, Abby Johnson, the senior midfielder, does the same. So our first subs of the game take place about 17 minutes into this first half. Tough start for the Panthers.
And now you're just looking to stop the bleeding. Of course, you're down by 2. You don't really want it to get any worse before you get to halftime to be able to talk to your coach, maybe that reboot that you need, whatever the pep talk is, or those pieces of advice that maybe she's going to help them to capitalize in the second half.
Blaine trying to get to this one. Ellen Nehan. Anderson plays it back through Way. Now Blaine will just try to play it out the back through Anderson, but she's harried by that active Spring Lake Park press up top. And that's the thing, that can do that with teams that want to play from the back. It just doesn't give them nearly as much time and space on the ball, obviously. That through ball rolls into the arms of Gorsh.
Of course, doing a good job staying attuned to the game as that one rolls towards her, coming up and making the play. Regardless of course, she had that time, that space, but still, sometimes you can catch keepers sleeping back there if they haven't had the ball come back to them.
Layla Tatushek couldn't track that one down. She's got some pace and energy on that left wing. Good ball out wide. Physical play from Abby Johnson, and it's actually going to be a throw to Spring Lake Park. Sydney Sutherland. And now we've got another substitution. Shalise Schaefer, a sophomore, enters for Spring Lake Park. The team defense by the Bengals forces a turnover. Meehan on the turn. Sutherland goes square to Anderson. Just about midway through this first half of action, Blaine with a 2-goal lead over Spring Lake Park. Courtesy of 2 goals from their Talas woman, their star in the making, going to Minnesota next year. Kendall Stadtman. Here's Stadton, and it's knocked out of play. She's just fun to watch.
Yeah. And I was going to give credit to the defense there, as that tight defense on her back making it impossible to turn, and even now double teaming her has helped them in these last couple possessions to stop Stadton from being able to turn and face net.
Yeah, I feel like if you're playing a player of her caliber, you almost have to send multiple defenders. Way gets there just ahead of the on-rushing Panther.
I think so too. I think for sure that you would have someone man marking her. You would keep just one person on them, and then of course whoever's in that area is probably going to be helping pinch that pressure, but definitely probably someone that would have eyes on her.
I mean, you have to account for it at all times. Brianna Wellert, there's a shot, first of the game, into the arms of Madison Way. The other goaltender for Blaine is Tess Enlow, who has 41 saves and a 2.10 goals against average. So certainly a talented player in her own right, and they split time. But Way getting the nod today. Unseasonably warm, I would say, for September 30th, too.
I'm so glad. Oh, wow. I know, but it's going to start to dip next week. But it still looks relatively nice for this time of year. So we'll take it. We'll take it.
Yeah. A little late summer burst.
I went out on the paddleboard yesterday.
Oh, nice.
Trying to soak it in before it got cold. I'm like, oh, no.
Good paddleboard weather for sure. It's Minnesota. It's going to snow in like
a
week.
Yeah.
No.
Try tomorrow.
Yeah,
be how
exactly.
weather sometimes works.
Another substitution. Sorry, go
ahead.
no,
that's okay. The craziest is the Thanksgiving before. I was kicking the soccer ball around in my front yard in shorts, and then after we ate Thanksgiving dinner, I was sledding. It was so weird. It was like the nicest day, and then all of a sudden, blizzard.
Yeah, that can happen for sure. And you see what I'm talking about as Stadton just kind of goes wherever the attack is. So it's going down the right wing right now, and so she moves over. She's kind of roaming to that area, really the focal point as she turns, and Spring Lake Park just keeps booting it out. Probably the wise decision ultimately. 17:40 to go, first half.
And as you said, the wise decision helped their defense be at least ready to collectively take on an attack by their opponent and not have to try to force anything or rush and maybe make a mistake and have a 1v1 with their keeper.
Pass in the middle, intercepted by Abby Johnson. She plays it in the channel. Well recovered by Peyton Padilla, her fullback position. Gets it to Nian.
I will say that the Panthers seem to have settled in a lot more here in this late part of the first half. The ball was consistently over here on our left side of the screen in the early minutes and probably the whole first half of the first half. And now we're seeing, you know, some of this transition. We're seeing some of the Panthers offense being able to hold the ball just a little bit longer than they were earlier on.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point, and you're absolutely right. They're controlling the midfield better. They're having a better spell of possession, and they haven't translated it into opportunities on goal, into good shots, but they are keeping the Bengals out of their box. And just as we say that, Gorsh has to come out before Stadton gets there.
Well, something we think about too is, so if your offense is able to keep the ball on the other end, even if they're not getting shots off, even if they're not having those plays towards net on Madison Way, they're keeping the defense legs fresh. They're not having to defend time and time and time again. They're having that break, so then when Stadton does go on a run up the field, they're going to be able to collapse and hopefully keep this game in check here before halftime.
Yep, no question about it, as they continue to play those short passing triangles, trying to break into that final third and break down this well-organized Blaine defense. Good step there by Molitor ahead of Stadton. It'll be a Blaine throw on the far side. As we said, the Bengals sitting 5th in the Northwest Suburban Conference standings, tied with Andover and Champlin Park with 21 points. Stolen back nicely by Spring Lake Park. Kylie Edwards goes wide. Now the speed of Tati Shack. There's a shot that goes through the uprights, but does not hit the back of the net.
And now if it was Kendall Stadtman, we'd know why. We'd be like, oh, she thinks that she's playing football today.
Exactly, exactly. That guy did good.
Yeah, right? That's what they told me to do last time. They told me it was worth 3 points, so I figured if I bring it.
Stadton may feature in game tomorrow night at home, which we'll have for you on North Metro TV. Totino Grace visiting the Bengals, who are off to a 2-2 start. Stadton racing onto this one. Is Gorsh going to get there first? And she will. And it's probably a good idea that she's just kind of standing in the middle of her box, you know, the 18-yard box down there, ready to come up and play as almost the sweeper keeper kind of role if she needs to, because Stadton is a threat. She flicks it on, trying to get to Pasquarella, and Gorsh gets there just ahead of the on-rushing senior.
And what I'm thinking, the reason why that keeps happening is the defense does push up pretty high here for Spring Lake Park. And so as they push up the field, that allows this huge space between the last defender and the keeper. And so when they do play that ball through, there's so much room for the keep to come up.
Yeah, Molitor trying to get there ahead of Stadton, and she kicks it off her for a goal kick. You're right, they're playing a really high line, and that can be risky. And a player like of Stadton's soccer IQ knows to kind of run off that shoulder of that last defender and stay onside. So it's a risk, but sometimes it can pay off if you catch them offside.
What your teammates would need to do is those balls that they're playing up to Stadton, they're playing them very straight on, and so the keeper, it's easier for her to come out. And if you're playing those more diagonal, it's going to be harder for Gorsh to read to come out and easier for you to come in and get that ball first, because she's not going to want to come out.
Run.
Yeah, she's not going to come way out at that angle, but she is going to come straight forward in those lines that we've seen her do these last few.
And that, you know, that takes vision. That takes seeing the run ahead of it. If you can play that diagonal ball like we saw a couple times, that can open up a defense.
That was what I always loved. One of my teammates.
Balls?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I said, because you're just getting back behind the defense, you can run onto it.
Were you a high and hard shot or a low or chip the keeper or any which way?
Yeah, for me, a lot of times, so I played outside mid, so I was coming in and crossing that ball. So depending on which position I was playing, when I was playing outside mid, it was oftentimes they're playing that ball through, I'm getting end line, running it in, and chipping it over to someone just slotting into the net.
For a tap-in,
Yep.
yeah. So you
So
were
that
assist
time and time
provider.
again. Yeah, and then when I was up top, I would say, I would always try to cut in. I'd be playing on the left side, cutting in to the center of the field to put that far post.
Stadton with a beautiful cross, but just over the head of Walraven, who's not the biggest striker out there, not the tallest anyway.
Hey, now. I know what it's like to not be the tallest striker on the field.
That's true, yeah. Still prolific, as we said. 3 goals for Walraven coming in, and just a great soccer play to have that cross. Knocked out of bounds by Francesca Kretoville. I asked before the game, no, the CH not pronounced. So Kretoville. Stadton. Bouncing ball is settled by the SLP defense. Goes all the way back to Padilla. And look how high the line is, like we said, that Spring Lake Park is playing. And when you're playing that high line, you really need to communicate as a back line. Otherwise, it's easy for players to get in behind and score if you're not on the same page.
Yeah, you certainly want that player that's helping communicate to everyone to step up and where you're at and on the same page so that your line doesn't waver any, that you're letting, like you said, someone to just get right behind you.
Good step by Turnbow. Coming up from her right fullback position. She's kind of shadowing Stadton. Team defense closing down Stadton. Padilla.
And as we see that throughout the game, we'll probably see a couple players come over and cover Stadton since she scored these early 2.
Good pace by Katie Booth. Left-footed shot into the side netting. Thought she could have maybe waited for a couple of her teammates to join her, but decided to go for goal. Inside of 10 minutes to go before halftime. 2-goal lead for Blaine here on North Metro TV. Now, was your favorite sport, because you played a lot of them growing up, excelled in a lot of them, was it whatever you were playing at the time?
It kind of felt that way. Yeah. I mean, I would say overall, right now, soccer is will have a special place in my heart forever. But, yeah, it really was. I was specifically, you get in that mindset and you're like, I'm all in. I'm right here. It's this season. It's this time. And personally, I loved that. So there was a time when people started telling you that, no, you can only do one. You have to specialize. You have to specialize. And now I'm seeing it somewhat go the other way, that, hey, it is great. It helps you when you're going to that off-season sport again. So it's nice to hear that feedback coming back to these youth, because I, truly enjoyed that switch up and being able to go between the 2 or 3 or whatever else.
How many ever you're capable and able to play. Great job by Piper Jerombeck, the sophomore, to track back and take that one away. Now it's Nian. Near side for Stadton. Well read by Nian. Into the channel, looking for the run of Stadton. Molitor will get there first and just decide to knock it out of play.
It was almost interesting. I don't know if you saw, maybe I was just seeing something, but I felt like Stadton's run was curling a little bit, waiting for that ball versus cutting towards it.
Yeah.
She was letting the defense almost go, because we've seen her almost be able to just run through the ball even if a defender was there. So I was surprised she didn't step towards that one. She just kind of
she kept her run outside instead of cutting it into where the path of the ball was.
And maybe like you talked about too, just starting the defense early. She was almost allowing that one to be given up and just forcing that ball to go the other way.
Well, Bengals content to maintain possession. Molly Clausen switches for Nian. Padilla through the midfield. Walraven tackled from behind by Molitor, but play on, says the ref. And I think by my count, we had the one foul on Pasquarella. That's all I can remember. So very cleanly played first half here at Panther Stadium.
And I will give credit to Spring Lake Park. It seems they've been able to on the fly start to guard Stadton a lot differently than they did in those early minutes. And the second half of the first half have been quite different.
Yep, I still think Stadton will feel good about her first half damage.
Oh, for sure.
Two goals in the first 15 minutes and some really nice goals at that. That's intercepted by Stefani. Into the channel looking for Weiler. Blaine's defense handles it.
But you just think if they wouldn't have made those adjustments and how they're being able to step up and defend her, this game could be a lot different. Looking at that scoreboard and possibly 3-4 on the board if they maybe wouldn't have made sure they were coming over and double teaming in certain times.
True. Here's a chance. And Way makes the save off the shot by Jarambak. Or rather, that was Finnegan who got the shot off. Beg your pardon. Way hasn't had to do much. Made a couple stops in this first half. Stadton crashing hard into the captain, Molitor. So just as I say, it's been a cleanly played half with few fouls. There's a foul. First of the game on Blaine.
It's typical, you know. Whatever you say. So whatever you want next. Just let us know.
There haven't been enough goals.
Yeah.
No. Must have been a lot of fun to call Kaya Harper's games.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I definitely had a blast. Very memorable, that's for sure.
That Centennial team had quite a run when her junior and senior year.
Which is why I can't imagine having both her and Stadton and Harper's sister all on the same team.
Stadton into the channel for her teammate to try to run onto, but again, Gorsh out ahead of Grace Hughes. Quite the game the other day, by the way, between Maple Grove and Centennial. Yesterday, in fact. Maple Grove beating Centennial at Cougar Stadium.
Yeah, it's crazy when you think about it, just what this end of the season will look like, which teams are going to step up as we get towards sections.
It was a 2-1 final in case you missed it, so tough loss for the Cougars, but first conference loss of the season. I'm sure they'll bounce back. Stadton gets around one defender, trying to split step over, crosses, and Gorsh has her palm stung, but a foul is called first.
Yeah, of course, it's called back, but what a rip there late in this first half after they hadn't really had too many great opportunities against Gorish. That one could have been if the call was different.
Ellie Nean, beg your pardon, she was the one that fired it at Gorsh, but Gorsh was in good position and made the stop. We saw her look pretty solid against Centennial despite the 6-0 loss. Swept into the path of the oncoming player, Walraven. Back to Stadton. Double teamed by Molitor, and she gets it away from the goal. Into the path of Dunbar. And now Spring Lake Park trying to clear, but again, really solid team defense being played on Stadton.
Yeah, if you're Stadton, you have to think who's open, because if they're going to start sending multiple players to guard you like that, there's got to be a teammate that you can dish that off to.
Stadton flicks it towards the goal, can't chase after it. Gorsh off her line quickly to collect it. 2:23 left to go first half. Bengals on top of the Panthers 2-0. Opportunity now for Finnegan as chases onto that through ball. Finnegan across, way, makes the stop. It goes past the on-rushing attackers, Addison Stephanie, senior striker, and there's a good shot of Madison Way, who made the nice shot block of the cross, and that almost, as you see here, pushed it out of the way. Pun not intended. Oh, and great job by Padilla to knock it free. So she blocked it onto Padilla, and what'd you see there?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, now that we're starting to see Spring Lake Park, you know, that could have been a difference maker here in this game if they would have been able to net that one. Great opportunity, possibly going to help them build some momentum here as they go into halftime, having that hard shot there on Way.
So definitely the most dangerous chance for Spring Lake Park, and had Way not pushed it onto Peyton Padilla, it might have fallen sweetly for Addison Stephanie, one of the captains, senior striker for the Panthers. Minute to go before halftime. Finnegan again tracking onto it. Finnegan warded off nicely by Sydney Sutherland.
Yeah, incredible defense getting back for that.
Tries to find Grace Hughes, so Hughes will have a throw on the far side. That's playing the angles, right? That's knowing how to cut off that run, as Finnegan's got some speed up that right wing. But you have to be impressed, you're right, by how the Panthers have settled in. They've played much better in the second part of this first half.
Yeah, I'd say going into halftime, their coach is going to be able to tell them that she's seen some positive things here late in the first half that she wants them to bring on to the second half, how they've started to attack Stadton, not allowing her to turn, double teaming her, shutting that huge piece of this Bengal offense down for the later part of this first half.
Horn sounds, and we've reached the halftime break here at Panther Stadium at Spring Lake Park High School. Kendall Stadton, 2 goals in the first 15 minutes of the game, gives the Bengals a 2-goal lead at the break. Be back with second half action shortly. You're watching high school girls soccer on North Metro TV. Back here at Panther Stadium, Bill Hupp alongside my broadcast partner Blythe Whaley, and Blythe, in the first half, it was the Kendall Stadton show, as it often is.
Yeah, Kendall Stadton showed up, but right from the get-go here in this game, those early minutes, she came in clutch, having the early 2 goals on the board. But like we talked about, that first one, getting it to really settle things down right away.
And there was the coach's daughter, Tessa Zachman. She's got 2 assists on the season in that central midfield role. She's on the ball right here. Pat plays it on back. As Anderson gets it up. And I think it's ever since Spring Lake Park really started that kind of aggressive pressing, they have changed the tenor of this game, and they still trailed by 2 goals, but they've settled in, as you noted, late in the first half once they started that more aggressive play. And here's a chance now for Blaine to increase their lead. And great save by Gorish to stop the shot by Walraven. Walraven charging in on goal, and Gorish made the save. Terrific from the 8th grader.
Yeah, those are the ones that make you feel very good about yourselves if you're a keeper. You come out in that 1v1 situation, oftentimes, you know, that goal scorer is probably in the advantage, having that huge net, but Gorish coming up with it.
Interesting. Kendall Stadton starting the second half on the sidelines, so chatting with a couple of the coaches over on the sidelines. See her there. And So getting a well-deserved rest. We'll see if we see her in the second half. We expect to, unless she's injured in some way.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I wonder, is something bothering her that they're like, we're in a good space that you can take some time unless things change drastically? Or maybe keeping her off and having that defense not aware of that return as much. So we saw how they're double teaming in the end of the first half, and now if they make them go back to play normal defense and not having that man marker, if she gets substituted in, maybe they can.
Yeah, we'll see if they switch up their approach. Obviously, things change a little bit if she is on the sidelines. She continues to consult with the couple coaches down there, including the head man, Scott Zachman. Meanwhile, Spring Lake Park attacking, trying to get on the board here at home. Boys game to follow after this one on North Metro TV. Just a couple minutes into the second half. So far, Madison Way has made a couple saves in that Blaine net, but really hasn't been troubled too much. Did a nice job to knock away a cross and prevent a great scoring opportunity for Spring Lake Park in the first half, but otherwise, it's been pretty comfortable for her. Panthers on the attack now, and that is well read by Sydney Sutherland, who had a good first half. She gets it to Avery Soley. Taken back, however, as Riley Turnboat goes into the channel for Finnegan. Brianna Finnegan goes high. Not sure if that was, I think that might have been a shot. Could have been a cross. But Finnegan, too much power from a tight angle.
Great job to those midfielders, though, recovering the ball for Spring Lake Park, allowing them to have that second chance opportunity to keep it in this attacking end for them. And again, allowing the defense to have that pressure off them and that time to recover between attacks by the Bengals.
Controlled by Brianna Weiler. Dropped back, taking the space, Megan Olson. Much more possession so far for Spring Lake Park. They've definitely started. Cross in the middle, and Way Finnegan was tied up by, I believe, Ellie Nean, and Way able to get it. Great cross, though, put in the box by Ellie Prairie.
Yeah, I'm sure she wished that first touch could have been a little cleaner on the ball to redirect it.
Yeah, it was kind of deflected, right? You're right. Well defended by Nean. But again, Spring Lake Park, as I was saying, starting the second half on the front foot and taking it to the Bengals. This is into the channel, but Solis is whistled for the offside. Avery Soley chuckling about it. First offside on the Bengals tonight. Well played by Zachman, forcing it. Grace Hughes, her pass taken away. And I got to be honest, first time I've noticed, but no ref today, just the side officials, which is unique. Usually you've got, of course, a ref and then two side judges, and this time you've just got two side judges, each sort of patrolling their side of the field. I'm not crazy, am I?
Yeah, no, I figured there must be something going on, that he's got to be out there somewhere, but because even so, I feel like I've seen where they would have one of those sides be playing in the middle and somebody else doing the line, even if it wasn't as qualified of a person.
Yeah, and sometimes the way I've seen it too is you'll have, as Blaine makes a substitution, Maya Anderson checking into the game, fullback, placing Padilla. Sometimes you'll have one ref that does from the 50 on, and then the other one goes from the 50 on the other side, and they are each responsible for just their half of the field, but they've seemed to have split it lengthwise as Anderson. Blaine tries to get a spell of possession.
Yeah, they're coming onto the field. Do you see that too? So,
yeah, no, they are. They're definitely coming on to at least the hash marks. I guess whatever they feel they need to do for a better view. So that's an interesting subplot.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen that. I'm trying to think. I guess I don't know. Maybe I just never noticed it.
Well,
wow.
we just noticed it. We're 7 minutes into the second half. So reffing has been good. Like we said, not too many fouls. One
Maybe
foul
that's why.
apiece.
They can't see any of them.
Exactly. Well, they figured these two teams, they're clean. They play fair. We only need 2 refs. Kylie Edwards picks this one up, looking for Finnegan on the turn. 3-on-2 for Spring Lake Park. Dished wide. Stefani shoots, and Way goes down to her right to make a save.
Yeah, Way having some more pressure on her here in the second half, getting to see Spring Lake Park get inside the box, get the shot off, and Way having to dive to make the stop.
Yeah, she got down to her right and made the comfortable save. Pascarella not in the game, Jordan Pascarella, and neither is Kendall Stadton. There's Stefani with another shot, Way behind that one all the way.
And that's something that might be strategic as we get later in the season. Section playoffs are coming around the corner. And
a lot of games these days.
Yeah, wanting to make sure some of those athletes that you know that will help get the ball in the back of the net in the games to come, that they're healthy and they're ready for those late season games.
Prairie, another good cross in the middle. No one was home. Finnegan, again, bumped off her line by Ellie Nean. And this obviously gives kids a chance to play and gives them experience, and you want your team to have depth. So certainly a good argument. We just don't know whether it's strategic and that was the plan all along, or whether it's due to injury of some sort. But Gorish has to come out, play that one. But it's been a second half that's been controlled by the Panthers in the early going. Nine minutes into this one, Prairie cannot chase that one down.
Because, you see those games where some of those players are in and all of a sudden something happens and you're like, what was the coach thinking? Why did they leave him in?
Right.
But I think in this one, it's still somewhat, it's relatively close. You have those 2 goals. Yes, you could decide to sub them back in. Of course, if one goal happens, if this becomes a 2-1 game, they can make that decision to put Stadton and Pascarella back in this game. So no need to rush as far as what I'm seeing. Prairie
sprinting with Sutherland. Prairie cuts in on her right foot, and Way slides over to make the stop, just bouncing into her arms.
I think Stadton is checking in. So, and again, we've seen how much pressure the Panthers have been able to have in this attacking third. So maybe just wanting to help get the pressure off their defense and not allow a goal to slip through here for the Panthers.
Yeah, and to be honest, we haven't called a Blaine game yet this year, so maybe that's kind of the way it goes. You give her an extended halftime rest and then bring her back for the last half hour. Regardless, she does appear set to re-enter. But again, credit Spring Lake Park. They've come out and carried over how well they played the last 20 minutes of that second half into the first half. And as you see Stadton re-enter the game, replacing Soley. They have definitely played with a kind of fearless style, especially Finnegan, and Prairie coming into the game has been on fire. Immediate pressure put on the SLP back line with Walraven. 29 minutes left in the game. 2-0 Bengals on top. And again, a foul throw. Some refs just like to call that. They notice that. They look for that. And this one on the far side is one of them.
It's their pet peeve. They see
That's
it and they're like, I have to call it. This has to stop.
This will not stand.
Not in my game. mean, you definitely see that happen in basketball too. With the carry or something, there's certain players that will not get called for all season, and there's this one game where every time they touch the ball, they're carrying it. It's like that's how they've dribbled probably the whole season, but those refs said that's their thing. They make sure they call it.
Yeah, that's whatever your point of emphasis is, I suppose.
You want to be known for something.
Right, exactly. You're the ref that calls the foul throws. Walraven tries to pass it out wide. It's deflected out of play for a knee-in throw. Blaine scored 15 minutes, scored twice in the first 15 minutes of the first half, and they have not scored since. Finnegan races on to that one, and she is whistled for offside. Clausen was shadowing her. Of course, Blythe, last time you and I were here for a game at North Metro TV was that overtime thriller in the boys lacrosse section finals.
That's true. That feels like a lifetime ago, but
That was.
also yesterday at the same time.
Chisago Lakes beating Blaine. What a game that was.
I mean, I'm already feeling like it's crazy. It's into October tomorrow, isn't it? Is it 31 days? 30.
30, yeah.
So
Tomorrow's October 1st.
Yes, October. And so, you know, you feel like those spring sports could be just around the corner. It's just how quickly it's going.
Yeah. Well, we'll be calling hockey soon enough, and basketball.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah.
Here we are talking about hockey, and it's 80 degrees out.
Yeah, it feels amazing today. We'll soak it up.
Stadton gets past Molitor, and that's going to be a penalty. Stadton taken down in the box. Molitor goes to ground to make the tackle, and that certainly seemed like a stone-cold penalty. So now Stadton, you would imagine, will go for the hat trick as you see Molitor come in. Loses her balance almost, but her feet get tangled up with Stadton and Blythe. That looked like a penalty.
Yeah, exactly. Referee made the right call. And now Stadton, of course, gets to take it herself.
Stadton with the ball on the spot, trying to complete the hat trick. And she does. Cooley deposits it in the left corner. 3-0 Blaine, all courtesy of Kendall Stadton. 14 goals on the season.
I just can't get over how effortless everything looks for her. I don't even feel like she had to try. She's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to play it over here. She's going to completely fake you out and have the goalkeeper go the other way.
That goal coming at the 14:40 mark. So she scored at the 14:53 mark of the first half. 14 minutes and 53 seconds gone by. She scores to complete the hat trick at the 14:40 mark of the second half. And now you have to imagine, even though Spring Lake Park is playing better, that this is a pretty tall task for them at this point.
Yeah, and I think that's what's tough. I mean, to see that third one go in after how well they had been playing to come out in the second half definitely burst some of that momentum that they brought into this half. But for them, how can you stay composed? Again, stop the bleeding. Yes, you allowed a goal here in the second half, but it doesn't mean you have to just completely collapse and allow a few more. Keep that in close range. Allow yourself still 25 minutes on the clock. They've had a few close opportunities. Hey, anything can happen.
Yeah, and Stadton sat the first 11 minutes of the second half, remember. She did not take long to make an impact. There's a shot from distance, Gorsh. But yeah, she really did make that penalty look completely effortless. Just side-footed it into the bottom corner. Cool as you like. And nothing that Gorsh could do about it. Way comes out of the net. Stolen back by Jarombeck. Into the channel for Finnegan. Finnegan squares it. Had an on-rushing attacker in Stephanie, but Way beat her at the near post. They really are using that speed, though, nicely, Blythe, right? Down the wings.
Yeah, we've seen it a lot tonight, just how much speed, I would say on both teams, we've seen them be able to get behind the defense. And especially, of course, Blaine, we've seen them time and time again have that ball dribble past into that huge space.
Well, and you know, it's interesting because if you go back and look at the replay of that penalty, it's honestly Stadton's strength that forces the penalty, because the one defender bounces off her, and then Molitor comes in to make the tackle, collides with her, and loses the physical challenge, goes down. That's when their feet get tangled, and she draws the penalty.
Yeah, and it just depends on the style of play. We see her, I mean, she does have the speed. We saw it early when she scored those first couple of goals, but ultimately just the composure on the ball, and as you said, her strength, just keeping her in position to make them have to follow her.
I mean, just size and athleticism, you know, just in terms of height, and just very athletic, the good balance to stay upright and avoid the challenges, and that's the kind of thing that can make you good as the advantage is played. And here's Stadton bearing down on goal, looking for her fourth. Kendall Stadton lays it off. Unselfish play from Stadton. It's 4-0 Blaine.
What a dish off to her teammate. Stadton didn't have the angle quite anymore.
Or did they call that offside?
And yeah, it looks like they did.
They brought it back for offside.
I would have thought that, but I feel like they didn't call it. Like, I thought that from the beginning. I was surprised they let it go on as long as they did.
Yeah, Stadton.
Because I didn't think she was anywhere near onside, so I'm not surprised that this comes back, but.
Stadton with the layoff for Hughes to get the tap in. And ultimately it was for naught, because Hughes must have been offside, and they waited to lift the offside flag. So everyone here thought it was 4, including the broadcasters, but
they punked us. Just kidding.
Ultimately they waved off the goal. Now there's 22:50 left and counting to go second half, and it's still 3-0 Blaine after all that. So here's the replay.
Yeah, that's exactly what I saw in live time, and I was surprised I didn't see anything. So I was like, maybe because there's only 2 refs, they, you know, weren't able to pay attention and get that call right, but we see them call it back, and exactly what needed to happen.
So you wonder if Stadton should have just kept it herself, but she was unselfish. She has 3 goals. Instead of going for the 4th, she tried to pick up the assist, get her teammates involved, but Hughes was offside. There's a reason she was so wide open, I guess, on the far side. So it remains a 3-goal Bengals lead. It's just crazy to see, because they're playing such a high line, like you talked about, Blythe. Stadton gets the ball, and she's got acres of space ahead of her.
And again, that's the type of soccer I love to play, when they do give me that room to roam. And definitely
it's
not
like
every team does it.
fast break in basketball.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, okay, just get the ball there, and now I can get the 1v1 with the keeper.
Mass substitutions for both teams, both squads subbing out 3 players apiece. Unseasonably warm night here in late September at Panther Stadium. Don't forget, we'll have the boys game for you coming up next on North Metro TV. There's a turn and a left-footed cross. Ultimately, Bella Such couldn't run onto it. Such into the game. Now you liked the hot weather for playing?
I did, only because I felt like I could run faster. I feel like as it got colder, it took more effort to keep your legs warm, to not pull something to get injured. So if I had to pick between the 2, I would definitely pick hot versus cold.
From distance, that's a speculative effort by Wheelert, but ultimately no good.
So I remember there was one game that I was playing, and I felt like my legs could not get warm, whatever I did. I was running so much, and they still felt like icicles. I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, it definitely, obviously, you know, the warmer it is, the easier it is to get limber.
And especially when I'm saying like speed being that factor when you can't get up as quite as fast as you normally would because of the cold. Your legs are like, they're not working like they normally do. What is happening?
And you obviously increase the risk of, you know, muscle pulls and whatnot when you're in that position. Yeah,
so if every game could be in, you know, 70-degree weather, it'd be ideal.
Takedown by Stadton. Nian playing that wingback role now, tries to go down line, but can't keep it in. Bengals looking to pick up their 10th win of the season. Much more normal feeling season, obviously, than we had last year. Foul at midfield. Like I said, for especially for being a ref down, these refs have done a nice job. Got the penalty right, haven't really had too many calls to make. Stadton trying to split defenders, hounded from behind, beats to the end line, and then that cross is blocked down and cleared by Spring Lake Park. But again, she just hesitation and then that burst to get past her defenders, nothing they could do.
Yeah, you saw them double team her, which is what has been working a lot in this game once they decided to do that against her.
Yep. Stadton chases after it. This time it's toe poked away with 18 minutes to go, and then they clear it into the bench. Spring Lake Park on the break. Shalise Schaefer. I think that might be an Irish name, Shalise. The way it's spelled.
So maybe she's lucky.
Yes, maybe the luck of the Irish, yeah. Control by Nian, and now Blaine trying to possess a little of their own, pinging it around. Abby Strasser on the far side. Stadton colliding with Molitor. Those two have been going at it. Of course, Molitor is the one who gave away the penalty. A friend of mine recently had a baby girl. They named her, and his wife is Irish. They named her Saoirse.
Oh, wow. Never heard that name.
Saioirse.
Wow.
I should have made you guess. Had you guess
oh, goodness. I would never
what it would have been.
That.
Yeah,
I never in a million years.
No. Saoirse. Beautiful name, though.
Yeah, exactly. It's sometimes those fun ones, they're so unique. You're like, okay.
Great ball by Stadton into the path of her teammate, and it's saved, I believe, by Gorish. Stadton was pointing out where she wanted Sydney Sutherland to make the run, or rather, Sydney Sutherland. And Sutherland just put it wide. I believe Gorish got the save. What did you see there, Blythe?
I think it just went all the way through everybody.
Great ball.
Oh, she did get a tip on it.
Yeah, great ball. They gave the goal kick, but you could see.
Didn't it look like, that she dipped it?
Yeah, I thought so. Hard to tell from our vantage point, but you could see her just directing traffic, trying to get her teammates involved. Now she'll have one from distance, and Gorish goes to her knees to grab that one.
Yeah, she had to stay aware of that one coming back at her quickly.
Had some spin on it, didn't it?
Yeah, knuckleball right at her.
Again, the power from distance. Battle for that ball won by Bella Such. I'd say Spring Lake Park the more physical of the two squads. 15 minutes to go, second half. 3-goal lead for Blaine. Scored early twice in the first half, and then once early in the second. Kendall Stadtman, the story of the game, with a hat trick.
And on all of those goals, it made sense for her to take that shot. It didn't make sense for her to play that on, and exactly what Coach Zachman was saying, that they're working on finding those times to be selfish, to make that play happen. And Stadton showed that effort here today. We saw her try to give it up on one of them, and of course, team had offsides and had to be called back.
Yeah, she just makes the right play. It just seems like she's always making the right decision, whether she should shoot it or cross it to a teammate. And obviously she knows what she's capable of. As Way loose in front, and Way gets it before it's toe poked past her by Stefani. Spring Lake Park has had balls in the box. They just haven't been able to get on the end of them.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, yes, this Blaine squad has that advantage up by 3, but I think that the Spring Lake Park team has the ability to get something in net here before the game's over.
Well, it'll be a nice confidence booster for them. I mean, this scoreline, it has been a closer game than the scoreline would suggest.
Yeah, and what could have changed if they would have been able to come out here in the second half, net one early with that effort that they had. Looked like they probably could have if things went their way.
Into the path of Stadton. Kendall Stadton, and Molitor comes over to avert the danger. Molitor showing some nice poise and captain's role. And I believe this is our first corner of the game.
Yeah.
I don't think either team is. Stadton is replaced. Gets a nice hand as she comes off, replaced by Sophia Walraven. I'm guessing that'll be the end of her night. Meanwhile, corner will be taken by Ashley Theron. Right-footed corner to the top of the box. Anderson goes down, and we've got a foul committed in a dangerous spot. I don't think it's in the box. The ref is gonna, I believe, mark it indeed right outside the box. Josie Carlson, the one who drew the foul. So Carlson, the one standing over it. 4-player wall in front of Gorsh. Carlson blazes it over and into the Blaine team behind.
Of course, doesn't seem like they would need that goal to have gone in, but of course it would have been nice, and that shot would have if it was just a hair lower. I feel like she had the power on it. Yeah,
no, it was a nice shot. Just would have been a hard shot to save for sure, but just a bit too high.
And you think about it too, and in women's soccer, oftentimes, especially in high school, that up and over arcing ball, that's a tough one. Most keepers aren't that tall, so like you said, if you are getting up, your hand tipping that, sometimes if it's a really heavy hit ball, it's going to go in the back of the net regardless, even if you get that hand up.
I went to the Minnesota United LA FC game the other day, LA Galaxy game, and Jonathan Klinsmann, son of Jurgen Klinsmann, is the goaltender for LA Galaxy. And when he was like doing his little warm-up things before the second half, like just before it kicked off, we were right near the goal. And I'm not kidding, he was jumping, doing little jumping things or whatever, and he's tall, and his head was going over the crossbar, clear over the crossbar. And I was like, my goodness. Dangerous chance here. Abby Johnson standing over it for the blue and white. Johnson will go for goal off the crossbar of the football goalpost. So again, not a bad effort. Would have probably beaten Madison Way, but a little too long.
And just like we talked about, just that arcing ball, if it could have dipped just a little bit more, I think that one would have had a good chance.
Can't imagine being tall enough or athletic enough to jump high enough where my head would be above the top of the goalpost.
Yep, nope. That's never going to happen. I don't have to worry about it.
I'm guessing he can dunk a basketball.
Oh, yeah.
My
spare time when I'm not even trying.
Yeah.
It actually did for a long time used to be a goal when I was younger.
Try to dunk, huh?
Because I would search for it and I would find guys that were my height that could dunk, which obviously, you know, you can see that sometimes. Guys obviously can jump a little bit higher. I don't like to admit it, but 10-2 on average probably.
Yeah, some of those guys are super, super, super athletic. It's tough.
But yeah, I saw this guy in a YouTube video, and he was at my height, and I was like, how did he do that?
I don't know, yeah.
One day, maybe I'll just pull out the trick.
I have never been able to dunk, and I'm 6 feet or thereabouts. If it makes you feel any better.
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Into the channel, a little too far for Taylor Janney. Under 9 minutes to go, second half. Blaine looking like they'll improve to 10-3 overall and 8-3 in conference play. They'll keep pace with the top of the Northwest Suburban Conference. Spring Lake Park in danger of falling to 4-9 on the season and 3-8 overall. Another foul called, so another chance for Abby Johnson. Well, as much as we talked about the fouls that weren't called in the first half or the fact that it was cleanly played, there's fouls are picking up here late in the second.
Sometimes that happens too when players are tired. Maybe you're reaching or forcing some of those things to not let someone pass you.
Johnson will boot it for one of her teammates, and they get ahead to it, but it's flicked on, and Way had it covered. Keep wanting to say Way had it covered all the way, but that just feels like it sounds funny.
Way had her way with it.
She wouldn't mind picking up a clean sheet, the Blaine defense.
Yeah, she's putting herself in the spot to do so.
But again, people might see this scoreline and not know how competitive Spring Lake Park was and how close this game was, but the brilliance of Kendall Stadtman, the difference.
It would have been interesting if they would have come out in the first half from the get-go defending Stadton like they have for the rest of the game. What the score would look like. Would it be any different? Because I think just getting that first one put on them so early.
Ball into the channel. Spring Lake Park racing onto it. And the cross hit into the side netting. True, and I mean, I think obviously the second goal, especially where she just evaded defenders, got to the outside on her left boot, and then, you know, instead of taking it to the end line and crossing it, just took a tight angle shot and thundered it over Gorsh's head. I think certainly that, you know, you can defend her with 5 players. It doesn't matter. She's still going to be able to outmaneuver them. But you're right. They certainly did hold her in check for the rest of the first half. And but I have to assume that was their game plan coming in. But she just is that good that she manages to score anyway.
I feel like there's some teams that just want to play them straight up and see what it's like before they make that decision. Because, of course, if they do have other players that are just going to score on you, if you pull somebody away from that spot and you create the space, you could be creating that opening if you're giving up a player to man mark. But, of course, finding out that, yes, indeed, they did need to put that on Stadton.
It's already too late.
Yeah, exactly. But I think what I was going to say, too, is just their ability to not allow her to turn on a lot of the opportunities she finally did have. The ball got up to her again late in the first half and not able to turn because she already had 2 players on her. I think the biggest thing is if she faces up to net She's so dangerous, but if you can force her to not be able to turn, take away any of that momentum she has.
Hard battle with Tatushek, and wow. I'm surprised as well, as Ellie Nian is baffled how that was given, or rather it's Abby Strasser on the far side. A little surprised that that was given as a corner kick, because she just shepherded that one out. But it is first of the game for the Panthers. Each team now with one. SLP trying to get on the board, and that's Tatushek who gets there first and knocks it over the bar.
Yeah, it's tough. You want to use that to your advantage late here in the second half. Not a whole lot of time to try to net one before the end of this. And, you know, when you're not able to really put something on net and have that shot to make way, have to do something with it, it's tough mentally, too, because you're feeling it as a team.
You just want to score. You may not, you know, you're not going to win maybe at this point, but with under 4 minutes left to play, you just want to score. And they have, to their credit, been showing outstanding work rate, playing hard late in the game. Blaine onto it now. Looking for Carlson to make the run. And it's ushered out of play by Jenna Klubik. Klubik, we'll see her playing basketball this year for the Panthers, no doubt. One of the starters for SLP.
Yeah, it's always neat to see how many players are multi-sport athletes for the high schools.
And you talked about that. Fewer athletes are specializing these days, and so it's tremendous to see.
You just think about what that did to injuries when people are only doing their one sport and how repetitive those movements. So seeing some positive impact of switching.
Big collision, and Stefani called for the foul. Carlson. Blaine wants a foul, but play on, says the ref. And there they bring that in. He was just playing the advantage. Now the foul is called. Tessa Zachman drawing that one. Got to be careful. Her dad's the coach.
Yeah, exactly. You want to get the call right.
Yeah, exactly.
He's coming for you.
Zachman asking for 10 yards for the wall. As you see there, she's just kind of trying to shield off and collided into by Katie Booth. Shot from distance, again, too high. Late substitution as Finnegan comes back on. A lot of positives for Mindy Daughtry to build on for this Spring Lake Park team, as we talked about. No goals, but ultimately good spells of play and good things to build on for this program.
Yeah, Spring Lake Park, their next game will be at home, so they'll have that home field advantage as they take on Robbinsdale Armstrong next Tuesday.
Blaine, meanwhile, there's another game coming up.
They're sooner, though. They'll be playing on Saturday, so for them, taking on Mounds View on the road again. But a
Mounds
weekend
View always
game.
a good team.
Weekend game for them, so that doesn't always happen. Don't have too many of those throughout.
Maybe why they're trying to rest some players like Walraven and Pascarella and Stadton. 1 minute to go in the game.
And actually this season for them, it looks like they've had quite a bit. It doesn't happen all the time, but they've had 3 or 4 of those Saturday games this season.
Big collision, play on, says the ref. 42 seconds left. Out of bounds on the far side. Janie couldn't keep it in. Kendall Stadton Goal 2 minutes and 28 seconds into the game. 14:53 into the game. And then a penalty at 14:40 into the second half. And that's the difference in this one. And what will ultimately go down as a pretty comfortable Blaine win. Madison Way will pitch the shutout. One last chance for the Bengals, and that shot flies by the upper 90. As the horn sounds here at Panther Stadium, Blaine, thanks to the heroics and the hat trick of Kendall Stadtman, 14 goals now on the season for her to go along with 10 assists. They move to 10-3 on the season. Blythe, your thoughts on the game we just witnessed?
Now the Bengals continue to be on a roll. We've seen so many wins for them here late in the season. Definitely will help that momentum go forward here as they near postseason play. But as you said, Spring Lake Park giving some good effort. We saw some good moments from them that they can build on as they try to recuperate here in their next game.
So that'll do it for game number 1. Don't forget, we've got the boys game coming up next here on North Metro TV. But in the meantime, for my broadcast partner, Blythe Whaley, and our entire crew at North Metro TV, I'm Bill Hupp saying good night. Blaine comes on the road. They win their 9th straight over Spring Lake Park, 3-0.